You
It's like it's sunny, so I'm gonna be outside.
love it. You look divine as
Oh,
ever.
thank you. I
Lovely
have
hair.
cat scratches. I have cat scratches on my face. My cat decided to run over my head at 4 a.m. yesterday and just
Really?
like scratch my face.
Oh my God. I love that
Yeah,
every time you voice note me, you've always got cats screaming in the background. So,
I
meow.
know.
You're like Catwoman, I love it.
Yeah, they're needy. You think that cats would be like quite chilled, right?
Yeah. Yours don't sound like that.
Mm-mm.
um,
Nope.
I set it up so it says recording, and it says recording in the corner. And
Okay.
when I press play, she said recording in progress. So
I heard
it,
it. Yeah, in my ears. Yeah, yeah,
you did,
yeah, yeah. It's fine. Yeah, yeah. I can
last,
see it recording. Yeah, you also.
because last time I was like, oh my God, I haven't actually
It's
fucking
okay.
talked to him. What the fuck?
It's okay though, because it's not like something we could not redo. You know,
Exactly.
it's
Exactly.
not like a conversation with some. I'm not amazingly busy, so I'm
Yeah.
happy to do it again.
Yeah, me too. Because I really enjoyed what we did. Actually, I think maybe it was like a really good tester actually because we kind of like figured it out, and I liked how we
Yeah,
ended it. Because I did plan on that, but actually I really liked how it panned out. With the tapping and stuff.
I think that yeah, tapping really works at the end. I think
How you
it's
go?
cool.
Have you still been doing that? Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing a bit. I try and do
Yeah.
just a bit on my own.
Yeah.
So like if I'm feeling scared of something,
Yeah.
I will tap on it. So I'll say like, I'm feeling scared on it about this. Um, so like I'm looking for a photographer for my retreat. So
Yes.
I was tapping on that thing. There's millions of photographers out there. It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Like thinking
Yeah.
about like the abundance of things. Sometimes we can be very like
Yes.
worried and feel like everything's impossible, but actually it's like no, like everything is possible. Like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
fine.
Everything is possible. I love that. I was speaking to someone yesterday, and they were talking about they wanted to rent a house, for example, and there was before they even started looking for a house to rent, they told me about the landlord is going to increase the rent. I can be able to afford it. I was like, hold on a minute, you haven't actually got a place yet. You haven't even got a landlord.
Yeah, well, that's how the brain can be, right? The brain,
Yeah,
everyone's brain. I feel like I mean, I'm not
yeah.
speaking
No,
for everyone, but
I think you're right. I think you're right.
yeah, can
Yeah.
just like find problems, and you're like, well, hang on, we're not quite there yet. So,
I was like, no,
like,
you have that, Lord. Let's just rein it in. And I said,
yeah,
like, you know what? Yes, that could actually happen, but how about using that energy to think about the most extreme opposite? Because we were talking about last time,
yeah,
when we go into catastrophe, actually, the
mm,
extreme opposite is also possible. And maybe neither of those things will happen, but it could be somewhere in the middle, maybe, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. It's
And
bring
they
it
were
back, isn't it, to reality a bit because the brain
and
can go off
me
on.
too. Yeah, me too. Like, I do sometimes like that, but you get better at catching yourself, I think.
Mm,
You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? Yeah.
yeah.
So, what did I want to ask you? Because we talk
I
about
wrote some
boundaries.
stuff about
Ah,
boundaries this
mate, I love
morning.
your neighbour. I used to have one like that actually. You reminded me of it like that. Yeah. Mine are always on my phone.
That's cool. Yeah, it's also good. I actually wrote it on my phone first, and then I was like, no, I'm gonna write it down. But the problem is, I can't really read my writing, so
I'm like that. I'm like,
I might just be
what the
like,
hell? Where's psychotic scrambling? Yeah. So like when we talk about boundaries, we're on about talking about like, what is a boundary? What are boundaries? I mean, I was thinking, well, what is a boundary then? But a boundary is kind of like an instruction manual maybe for you. Like when you buy an appliance, it has like this is how you need to use your user guides. Maybe that is like an actual
mm,
boundary. That's your boundary, isn't it? And then you don't know, like, just off the top of my head, I bought a new steamer, right? And I don't know how to use it. I need to read the instruction manuals. I can use it properly. You know what I mean? And maybe that's how humans are too.
yeah, we have. I wrote down, um, givers. There's this quote that I really like that says like givers need to set limits so that takers don't take everything, or something.
Oh
There's
my
something along those lines. And
yeah.
I think it's like setting, not just about setting limits, is it? But it's about
Yeah.
kind of being like, well, that doesn't feel okay. So I'm going to say like no, or like that's like a hard no. And I think it's just really feeling sometimes like in your body, and also just like feeling how you feel and being able to express that to everyone.
Yes.
So being
Yeah.
like really honest with yourself, like, does that feel okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Them saying that to me or acting in that way. So like a
Right.
really clear example for me, and this is how I started to set boundaries, was my cancellation policy
Okay.
for my
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
So I found like people otherwise would just cancel an hour before or half an hour before, or be like, sorry, can't make it. And then that would make me feel like shit, but it would also mean that my business would suffer,
Right.
because obviously by them not showing up, if I didn't have a cancellation policy, I wouldn't get paid and I would just be sat there. Does
100%.
that make
Yeah.
sense?
100%.
Yeah.
Like, if you can go straight with business, then yeah, I think that is so important because it is a boundary, and you are essentially a business, and that can go down to cancellation policy, how you get paid, and letting people know the contract from the start, and so
Yeah.
they. You know, and make it quite clear for them and quite clear for you too, so you can work with that. Because actually, yes, we love what we do, we love financing, aerial, whatever it is, whatever your job is, especially generally you do self-employment because it's money you love to do it, but it's still your job, and it's still a contract between two, three, whatever people it is, and that's your boundary, and it's non-negotiable, isn't it? And
Yeah.
that should be clear from the start, you know.
Yeah.
So many people don't do that. I've worked at loads of different places, do like workshops running around here and everywhere, and I noticed that that isn't always the case. People are scared to do that, or you know, why would you be scared?
Well, I understand the
Self-work.
fear. I think it takes practice. That's
Yeah,
what I wrote down. Yeah. I
yeah,
wrote down that it takes practice.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because you're scared you're going to upset them or lose them. Lose
And
them.
I was quite bad at, yeah. Hang on a second. I'm going to just, is my internet being weird?
You're cool for me.
Okay, cool. It's just being, it's fine now.
Yeah.
Yeah, just maybe just knowing that it takes practice is also important.
Yeah, you never get it right every single time you're learning, aren't you? You're never be perfect. But I think setting it from the start, you know, and letting people know. I think when I first opened my business, I was a bit more relaxed, I guess. And then as time went on, I started to notice, oh, you know what, actually, this is affecting my business. I need to put these in place. I learned a lot. Before I opened my pole studio, I had a hair salon, and I think I learned so much from that business model moving forward into this one. I didn't really realize at the time. And so as the years have gone, I'm thinking, no, yeah, you know what? How I deal with this business is how I used to implement in that one. I think sometimes it doesn't really matter about the actual what you're doing because it's still always kind of going to be the same sort of template, especially working with clients, what have you. And we had a cancellation. Yeah, we had a booking system at the hair studio, a cancellation fee, all this sort of stuff, and it was just like a given. Within pole, it's not like that, but why not? Because actually, you're providing a service, and it's self-love and self-respect, and it's your time, and your time is what your people are paying for, and your skills and service, which you've trained God knows how long for all the time. So to let people know, you know what I mean? And it's not a personal attack on them, but actually every time someone doesn't show up or doesn't pay you, that is like almost taking away your boundary, your self-love and self-confidence, isn't it? And your self-worth. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you just don't want to feel resentment. So when you feel resentment, then it's like a clear sign that you're not setting boundaries strongly enough, you know?
So I have on the booking system, and I'll go into detail. Okay, this is what it is. 24 hours. All bookings on, there's non-negotiable, non-transferable under any circumstances. You know what I mean? I mean, I've had some really exceptions to the rules, and people have been teaching for like a decade, and sometimes life does happen, and that's okay too, right? And I think you can get to judge that yourself as a human, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Generally, like I think, if you can't keep a time or your commitment to your class and your books, then that's on you, not me. And also, I'm not here and you're not there to manage people's feelings and emotions. You're there to run your business.
Yes, so that's really, really important, isn't it? Because sometimes I recently had to make a decision with my pole retreat, and I felt that someone I was going to be working with wasn't quite the right fit. And luckily, we both decided that, okay, that's not quite going to work and so on. But I did feel discomfort. So I definitely felt like uncomfortable with having a difficult conversation like,
Yeah.
oh, you know, flying you all the way out to Italy, like maybe it doesn't make that much sense. And there was this feeling of like, oh, it would be easier just to be like, okay, I'll pay for your flight, as we were talking, you know. But actually the easy decision doesn't always make the most sense. Like sometimes you have to do the harder conversation. And that's hard, that's very difficult, but I think it's a necessary thing to feel good in yourself and feel like you're doing the right thing.
You have to do what's hard and uncomfortable to grow, don't you? I think sometimes. I was literally speaking to someone last night, and they were going through a situation, and they were like, I can either pretend everything's okay and not move forward with my life, or acknowledge that I'm not happy, have this conversation, be uncomfortable for a short-term period, and then just move forward with my life, just go for it. Do you know what I mean? Because I want more. And I said, absolutely. Like, there's been so many times in my life where I wanted more, or just do better, or expand, and that comes with stepping out of your comfort zone all the time. You know, yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and just knowing that their reaction to your boundary or the way you feel, like as long as you put it in like a respectful way, you don't have, then it's okay for them to not feel like 100% happy with what you're saying. You know, that's not your fault if you feel a certain way, or you feel like someone's not right for the like whatever you're doing, or if they have a problem with your cancellation policy, like you're saying, it's not on you. It's that's just the way things are, and they kind of have to deal with their reaction to it. It's not,
of course. So language is really important. So you can say, you know, I totally understand where you're coming from. I empathise with the situation. However, you know, you signed the terms and conditions for the cancellation fee. These are what they are, and just reiterate that. You know, that's your template, isn't it? You can still empathise with someone's life and like take on the problem or the issue. You know what I mean? Because it shouldn't have to you, because it's not your problem or your issue, is it? You know what I mean? And it's the language. When we were talking about that book, Boundary Boss, they were saying about language and how to express your needs and use like useful language. So like, I feel this way, or when this situation happens, you know, this is how I feel. What can we do? Or I would like you could. Are you able to do this for me? You know, there's a chapter about partnerships and about, you know, I need you to do more work on the house. You know, and actually. We general, like, you know, I'm really overwhelmed on Mondays and Wednesdays and recording my podcast. But really useful if you would be able to do X, Y, and Z for me. How does that look for you? You know.
So I was listening to it this morning. So she said something really, really useful. So she says like observation, feeling, need, request. So I've noticed. So I could just come up with some examples. So I've noticed that you're super tired at the end of the day and you get a bit snappy with me. This makes me feel like shit. The need is to not be snappy with me at the end of the day, please.
Okay.
And then my request is that we maybe don't have like in-depth conversations at midnight kind of thing. Maybe we can save like the difficult conversation. You know what I mean? So like it's just like that, having observing something. So saying your feeling is really, really important though, isn't it?
I think so, and your feelings can change just like that as well. You know what I mean? Depending on what's happened. Yeah, we have a rule. Me and the Hubs, I'm like, okay, because obviously we both work in Poland and stuff, and for example, we had like really heavy workshops over the weekend. It was really high energy. You give it 100, we're screaming, shouting, vibing really high. It's amazing. And you kind of crash down afterwards, you know. We're like, hey, no speaking now, no talking. Watch some trash, decompress. And then just like, we'll meet again in the morning and we can debrief properly. You know what I mean? And that's
yeah.
So,
like having a time for having conversations. Like bless him, my husband likes to have conversations that like when I've got my eye mask on, I'm like putting my earplugs in. Like, and I'm about to like be like, I'm done. Like today is done. Like I don't want to talk about anything.
I know exactly what you mean. So I'm de-dragging now, look.
So it's important though to maybe he doesn't know, like it's also important to say like maybe he doesn't realize that having that conversation then is not okay for me. You know, maybe he's just like, oh, she's getting ready for bed, it's okay, like I can still talk to her about it. But actually, like just little things like that in a relationship, if you just say, oh, now is not like the best time to talk to me about this, or like you know, I'm in a band with my hubby too, so like sometimes sometimes he can be a bit as we all can be, he can be a bit like funny in front of people. He can be a bit like, there's like a bit of a conflict with who's in the boss. And so I have to be like, can you not put me like, he says like little funny things, not as like a put down, but I have to be like, can you not do that, please? Like,
of course.
You know what I mean?
So, totally. We've had conversation as well.
I feel like that's like a really important thing in a relationship.
And also, you remind me.
It's really.
You wanna?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, what did I remind you?
Just reminds me that we talk about telling your partner or your friend or your mum or your dad or whoever it is what your boundary is. It's not like a one-time conversation. Sometimes, especially at the beginning, you have to kind of reiterate that, or you know, go back to it again as well, because people are always going to remember. You know what I mean? Also, boundaries change too. You know.
Yeah. Totally. And it actually is important to say it makes your relationship better.
Yeah, totally, actually. And I think that in a healthy way, this open discussion should be between two adults. It should be something like couples, friends, whatever, in a healthy relationship can do that, because it allows you to grow then, you know, because ultimately we're not mind readers, are we? You know?
No. So and what used to happen with me is I would be like, how can he not see this?
Because I know why, I remember we talked, because your Scorpio moon is like, everyone needs to know exactly what I'm thinking. How dare they not?
Yeah. So I'd be like, how does he not know this? Like, how does he not know that this is important to me? And I'm like, and then sometimes someone would be like, well, have you told him this? Like, have you? And I think it's a really important thing to point out. If you haven't said something to someone, like, this is important to me, or when you say this to me, it makes me feel like this, or if you haven't specified, like, I know it might seem obvious to you because you're feeling it and you're in your head, but like to someone who is on the outside, maybe they don't get it. Like maybe.
Yeah, definitely. And what's important to you might not be as a big deal for the people, so you have to let them know, you know what I mean? I have loads of little things in the studio, like, and I learned this when I did my counselling therapy course about time boundaries, for example. And she was saying when we were doing our course, she was like, you know, if your client comes really early, that's not on you because you paid that time slot. Do you know what I mean? And so I make sure everyone knows, actually, don't come early, don't come late, because that's not going to affect the times. And actually, for me, the time is really important. And if I've got half an hour free before your appointment, that doesn't mean I can hang out with you and do more power. Actually, that's my time to get learned, stretch, record a tutorial, do something, whatever I want to do. It's my free time. And for me, that's a boundary, especially with a client too, because you know you see your clients all the time, and they do become like a friend. But ultimately, you need to have. Yes, they are. It is a friendship. Also, you need to have that professional boundary somewhere, don't you? So for me, I'm like, okay, we'll actually lock the door. Actually, and I'll make sure people come in and out. That's when they're supposed to. Because for me, that's really the time boundaries are really important, and I don't want people to be hanging around at half an hour, just waiting and watching me. You know, if I'm waiting for their class or whatever. Because especially if it's a private as well, like, you know, I like to. If I'm doing a private, that's their time as well. Because some of my private clients don't like a group environment, which is absolutely fine too, you know. So I think for me, I always reiterate that, and I think I have in my emails too when people look regarding times and things, and late cancellations and turning up late and what have you. Those sort of things are really important to me because it helps the business flow smoother as well.
It's important that you've systemized it though. That's what I think is really, really good, because then you don't you have something in like right at the beginning already.
100%.
Really clear.
You know what I mean? Like when I book when I book an appointment to see my beautician, for example, it's all on there, like for massage, like turning up, you can't rock up late, what you need to be wearing, you know, it's all on there, isn't it? It should be the same for studios too, you know, because it's a professional business and people are spending their time and money with you. When I first started, I think it was a bit different as well. I think it was like 12, 13 years ago. And I used to be like, yeah, just turn up, pay cash, rock up, doesn't matter, whatever. You know, it's so different now, you know, especially after COVID as well. And that just doesn't happen. So it's great to have systems in place, I think, for yourself and have like a window where people can't book onto the class before a certain time because I need to know who's going to be in the class so I can lesson plan, you know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah,
have you
yeah,
got,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I have like regulars I've for a long time, and I know they're going to come every week, and I'm getting them in order to okay, you know, you're going to come in, book yourselves in, you know, it's yes, maybe I'm being anal, but also you know you're going to be there. I know the class numbers, and I can give you a really good class then because I know you're going to be here, you know.
Yeah. No, it's really, really important.
Yeah,
I also have automated response. That's something that I've just implemented, sorry, this year, might have been the beginning of this year, because I teach kids, I deal with a lot of parents, and
but
they sometimes, yeah, they sometimes message me at like 2 a.m. I'm not joking, like 2 a.m. And they
yeah,
don't expect a response, I don't think. But what used to happen is they would message me at like midnight or 2 a.m. and be like, sorry, she's not coming to class, like that, even though I would have already told them my cancellation policy.
yeah.
Um, in that automated message, it says, my hours are from this to this,
Amazing.
and my cancellation policy is this. Please keep that in mind when contacting me. So then I felt like I didn't have to have like the difficult conversation all the time. Like it's
Brilliant.
clearly there.
Love
Yeah.
that.
And then the other thing is sometimes I'd be like, have I told them my cancellation policy? Like, I'm not sure if I've spoken to them about it. So
Yeah.
because that message would always come out, um, I could just scroll up and be like, yeah, because they messaged me at this time and it's been sent. So I can screenshot it and be like, hi, like if it's like I have people who would have an issue with the cancellation policy. So I'd take a picture of it and say, well, if you had an issue, like then
Mm-hmm.
when you
Yeah.
would receive that message, that would have been the time to question
Yes.
it and query it. So yeah, just like systemizing things, whatever way that is that works for you, I think is really, really good, really good. It just saves a lot of time. So sometimes like automated messages, like what you said, the terms and conditions when you book, those kind of things are
Yeah.
so good, so good.
Yeah. I think you can do it like I'm trying to think. I don't know how to do it yet. I'll have to have a chat with you later. You can do it on all your social media, can't you? So when people message you after a certain hour, you get that response.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
but how to
yeah,
do
yeah,
it because that'd be really useful actually. Because I have the same thing all the time. People message you all hours of the day, which is absolutely fine. But I say to them, you know, I'm only going to respond to you between I don't know 9 and 5 or 9 and 9, whatever I want to do. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And someone actually said to me recently, "Hi, I've got a studio group chat for each of the different classes or different groups and stuff to like keep it like accountability almost. It's quite fun." And we do accountability for different groups and things. And then she wrote in there something like, "Hi, I've messaged you, I've WhatsApped you, I've Facebooked you, I've done all these things." I
mm,
was, and then I was like, "Yes, I know you've done that." I was just waiting there. So I said, "I know you've done all those things. I've seen all the messages and want to reply to them, you know, as and when, you know what I mean." So you know,
mm. There
working.
are certain people that will have an issue with having to wait for a response. Like I used to
Yes.
get people who would continuously message me like 10 different
Yeah.
questions that were all the same thing. Like it was just every now and again. It wasn't always. There's like certain people that definitely need more from me. Like they're more needy. So I have to make sure that I protect myself. And so that the main reason really is so that when I was training in the morning, I wouldn't have like someone bombarding me with messages. Like that was
Once
one of the main reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like bat and ball, isn't it? And you fall in there you've lost an hour, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah.
always try to allocate some time, like an hour, I don't know, between 11 and 12 to respond to everything. And, you
Yeah.
know, yeah, that's really important because otherwise your time just goes, doesn't it? And I think that when you're setting boundaries, some people will really push up against those, especially from
Mm-hmm.
that with me. This is moving away from studios with like friends and family. You know what I mean? Because family, I had massive boundaries. Your point, yeah.
Mm.
Actually, but like I said to you, the bigger the boundaries, the better our relationships being. You know what I mean? Because for my family, for example, I don't know if it's a cultural thing from an Asian community. They just expected me to be there 24/7, beck and call. because they're always say, but I'm your mother, but I'm your father, whatever. So that's fine, but does that mean I'm your slave 24/7 at the same time? You know what?
No.
Yeah, and I had this guilt that I should. And I thought, I don't have that with my friends.
Yeah.
So I started to implement massive boundaries, and you know what? Our relationship's improved so much. Really has, really has. Yeah, it was difficult, and the more I tried to put the boundaries in, the more they'd like play up, to push, push, push. Because not almost narcissistic behaviour from one of my parents, but okay. Hello, are you still there?
Are you still there?
I'm still here. Your camera's not on though. Can you hear me? I can see. Oh, here you are.
Yes.
Your camera just went off. That's all.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I was like, hello? Yeah,
Yeah. We were talking about
family.
parents. Is that
Yes.
good? Do you want to
Yeah.
go? You want to go there, or you okay to talk
Yeah.
about that?
Yes. Let's do it.
You're like, yes, go.
Um,
Yeah,
so my parents are like quite interesting because I don't think they had great like parent
oh,
models.
of course. Not that that's an excuse for bad behaviour. However, I can understand where they're coming from. Do you know what I mean? There's balance, isn't there? And I do loads of work about forgiveness and things like that. I think we talked about this before. Like, and if anyone's listening, like, forgiveness doesn't mean I accept shitty behaviour. Forgiveness is like, what, I acknowledge that I'm moving forward. Actually, buenos
No,
dias.
it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because it's trying not to just accept bad behavior, but also being like, oh, they are human.
Yeah.
So that's where boundaries come into play, though, because you can say, oh, like I've noticed, like my sister is neurodivergent and finds it hard to turn up on time places.
Yeah.
So it's important sometimes for me to say, when you turn up an hour late, it makes me feel like this. And I know that you operate differently, and it's not like your favorite thing is not staying, like keeping a schedule.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
That's like difficult for her, I guess.
Yeah.
However, like when you show up an hour late, it makes me feel really bad. So please, could we find a way to sort this out? Like, could you message me if you're going to be late? Like, so I'm not just like hanging around. Could we, yeah, like it's just finding a way to
Of course.
have boundaries, but also like
Yeah.
not make excuses for people, but also
Well,
notice their behavior and how it makes you feel. It can be all
100%.
complicated.
Definitely. Like, do I feel good around this person? How do they make me feel? Like, what are we talking about? What's the energy that I'm feeling? Is this adding value to my life? Is this
Mm.
relationship nourishing me? Are we nourishing each other? Do we bring out the best in each other? Is this a really good use for my time? Those are things you want to
Mm.
asking about your friendships, your family. Just because they're your family doesn't mean you have to spend all this time with them. So for me, I really like scheduling time around that. I don't see myself having that often. We speak all the time on the phone, which is great. Not like physically see each other as much. And I think I'm really good with that, and I think it's really set our relationship like so much better. Like, I'd gone round to there the Monday night after Brighton, because back from Brighton workshops, and went round to my dad's, and I helped her set up her running machine. She's going to do this running machine base in a minute, and we had this really amazing connection. We hung out, we laughed and joked, and we just went. It was great. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like in my 40s now, and that's really, it's only been the last 2 or 3 years I think that's started to connect with me. But I've had decades where it hasn't been like that. It's been like the complete opposite.
Mm.
I've had to really strongly work on, setting my boundary, my time boundary, what's acceptable, and how I want to be treated by showing them to. Someone said to me recently that we expect so much from our parents, and actually they're just human too,
Mm.
and they're experiencing life for the first time as well, like we are. And so
Yeah, they're struggling.
and I have to
Mm.
remember that as well, you know what I mean? That we kind of expect to be these like, godly figures. And to a certain age, when we're grown, we think that they actually are. Then as you get older, thinking, shit, they're just fucking humans. They have no idea what they're fucking doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a hard one, isn't it?
Of
But at the
course.
same time, it's having compassion, but also like noticing when maybe it's too
Yeah.
much time too much time spent with them. So
Yeah.
I have like a similar thing. So like if I spend more than 2-3 days with one of my parents, my dad basically,
Like,
actually with my mum too,
that sounds
with
like
my mum. Yeah, yeah. A therapist once said to me, like when I was having therapy quite regularly, she was like, "Oh well, 2 or 3 days, like that's like the shelf life." She said, like just that's
oh.
enough, basically. Like it's a common thing. I don't know, maybe it's
I'm like 2 days.
yeah, yeah. So sometimes like for
Yeah.
Christmas and stuff, or like if I'm visiting my dad, it will be a short visit because I'll
Yeah.
be like, that's
That's
enough now.
right. And you know what? That does not make you a bad person. Just you're human, right? You know what I mean?
No.
That's fine. So when you're organising with your friends and stuff, you always have a time boundary, don't you? So we're going to do this and that day. You know what I mean? Yeah. And when we talk about boundaries, actually, within friendships too, are these people nourishing you? Are they, what are you learning from them? Are these healthy relationships? I was speaking to someone yesterday, literally yesterday, about uh, the friend that she used to have and where she is now, because she's so into her fitness, discovered pole, training, athlete, all this great stuff. And she's just finding that, her party friends are not what she resonating with her anymore, because they just want to get drunk, go out party, eat junk food. That's absolutely fine. But they're just not on the same vibe, and they're kind of making her feel bad for being like that. You know what I mean? And I thought,
Yeah,
are these people that you want to spend more time with? Because actually, you're allowed to change. We change all the time, and if you're not
yeah,
changing, well, then what are you doing, right?
yeah. I think anyone that's judging you or putting you down with little snide remarks, or even if they're not like
Passive aggressive comment.
obviously passive
Yeah,
aggressive, yeah. Also, and yeah, sometimes you're just like, nah, I don't want that anymore. I
yeah,
remember I had my grandpa died, and then said best friend I guess didn't want to deal with grief or the whole thing
right.
around grief, so she just decided to not message me for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
And that made me realize, oh, is that the kind of friend I want? Like,
yeah, yeah,
and also like the fact that I probably couldn't at that time. I didn't feel like I could say to her, "Oh, when you didn't message me for 2 weeks, it made me feel really bad." Like I couldn't
yeah,
have that conversation with her. It just wasn't part
yeah,
of our friendship. So there's also that
yeah,
just moving on from people who aren't
yeah,
quite able to have difficult conversations and maybe aren't the best people for you and your growth and
yeah,
um, going forward, kind of thing. It's a difficult thing to not get rid of people, but to move away from them is quite hard.
yeah,
But sometimes, luckily, the universe makes things happen so that you don't have to necessarily be like, bye. But
yeah.
sometimes you just move slowly away. You don't really stay in touch as much. And
Of
yeah,
course, yeah. I'm quite direct, and I'll be like, if it's friendship, I'll say this thing this thing's, this is how I feel about this thing. What can we do to change that? If you're not happy, I was working somewhere. It's like a working kind of friendship, almost, I suppose. And there was some issues around like what they were doing in their private time, but I was involved in it because I was staying with them. And I was like, I'm not comfortable with like what you do in your free time. That's cool for you, but obviously you're paying me to work. I'm here to teach workshops, what have you. But actually, I just feel like it's really unprofessional, and I feel vulnerable. Actually, I don't want to be part of it. And that was them was like almost enraged them, and they were like, really, you're judging me, you think you're better than me, all this sort of stuff. And I was like, I don't think that, actually, but I'm just letting you know this is not cool for me. And actually, this is maybe a part of my life 20 years ago. I don't want to be around that anymore. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And also, it was a lesson for me too, actually, to be more clear in my relationships and to set boundaries of what I find acceptable, and to not get into those situations as well, because I don't know at all. You know what I mean? Sometimes be like, you gotta be strong, and let people know. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because I think people get scared. The reason why I was reading through the Boundary Boss book, and they were saying that people are scared to place their boundaries because they don't think they're worthy of boundaries. It's self-love, and
It's the self-worth, yeah.
yeah, and actually, it can seem like almost diva-y or like too self-confident. Actually, it's self-love, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a weird thing because I get that. I think that comes from fear of how the
mm.
other person will react.
people are so
Um,
people are so caught up with you know, what other people are thinking about them. But I think that people don't.
Yeah.
You know, but most of the time people aren't thinking about you because some people are so wrapped
Yeah,
up
no
in
one cares. Yeah. Well, I think also the people that will have like the boundary destroyers, that's what in the same book she talks about those kind of people. And I've had a few run-ins with boundary destroyers, but it's important. Yeah. So boundary destroyers are people that you'll set boundaries. So please don't show up late when you're picking up your kids. That's one, right? Really simple example. I have a mom that comes today to pick up her kids, and she's always late. So she's 10 minutes late, 15 minutes late. And the problem is it's my last class that I do. So it's 9 p.m. we finish. And then she turns up at 9:15. And I'm like, no, that's not right, because that's my time. So you are eating into my dinner time and my relaxation time and so on. But she will repeatedly do it. So I will have the conversation and she'll be like, that's just her way of being. So I have to continuously call her out. Or the other decision is to just be like, this isn't working, in a way. Like, sorry, but no thanks, kind of thing.
So it's a similar thing as you, and I'm really direct, and I don't say sorry because I'm not sorry, because I've repeatedly told my boundaries, you're abusing them, so this relationship's no longer working, so you know, we're not a right fit, and then just move on words, you know, because there's just time, right? That's class as well, you know. So, I mean, sometimes things happen, and it's absolutely fine, but when it's repeatedly, you know,
repeatedly is disrespectful. And luckily for me, as I'm moving in 6 weeks, I have, or 8 weeks, 7 weeks, I have a choice on who I take with me online when I teach. So the people that are repeatedly pissing me off or pushing my boundaries, I'm like gonna just tell them, I'm gonna just tell them, oh, I'm moving countries. I've really enjoyed teaching your kids, even if I haven't. I'll be like, really enjoyed working with you. Thank you for like trusting me with your kids or whatever. But going forward, I would suggest look up a random teacher, this person.
Totally.
For example. So that's a good thing about moving, or even if you're not moving, I think it's really, really important at some point to be like, I'm going to give this person a certain amount of my time. But if, let's say, if they are still not behaving in the way that I want them to behave,
I do it straight away, you know. I just do it straight away.
You do it straight away.
Yeah, because I called it out. There was an instant use to remind him, actually. A client recently just come to all the group classes, and they're always talking over me, almost like talking down to me, and being a bit rude. And I was like, and I said, and I had to just pull them to one side. And I said, you know, is everything okay with you? You know, you're paying me to teach, and I'm really here to help, and I want you to grow, you know. But I feel like there's almost a conflict, and they burst into tears, and she's like, "Oh no, I'm so sorry." She's not even you. She's like, "I'm having such a difficult time at work at the moment," and all these things came out. I was like, "I totally understand that, but it doesn't mean you have to be an absolute dick to me, because I want you to. I want you to be a man, because I know that you can be, because that's why you're here, right?" And we had it straight away. And I don't know if it's different between. I don't. I'm just thinking of, man. I don't know if it's between guys and girls. I don't know. So I just said it as it was, right? How I felt, not in a horrible way. And I just pulled it to one side, and Jenny's calmly spoke to her, and she's been great since then. She's been every single week. I saw her last night, really brilliant. You know what I mean? And then I had another one instantly. Again, always late, moaning, didn't want to do anything, poo-pooing everything, you know. So I said, look, you know, what I've noticed this behaviour. You're always late. You're holding the class. I do my best to accommodate everyone's needs, and the classes always teach mixed ability. I know you're showing some weaknesses, and I never give you anything that I don't feel you can't do. You know, at the same time, like this, whilst also pushing you to be better and do more. You know, this is this help mind your behaviour. You know, what can we do? And they just didn't want. They just cancelled all their classes. You know,
so that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think that's really good that you are instantly. There's certain people that I would do that with. So I have done that in the past with another boundary destroyer. She was another mum. She was. She was.
Dad's mum's.
Yeah, she was messaging me all the time. So that's the reason why I put the I will respond during these hours. She was just messaging me, asking me all these questions all the time. And
Yeah.
then she was also ringing me when I wasn't teaching, and she was, so I just felt like, you know what, like this is, and then when I was putting up my prices, she would question it. So she would be like, oh, like, why are you asking for this much more money? Like
Yeah.
that's I know, right? And she said, I've spent over the last 2 years, I've spent this amount of money with you. And she just had a problem with me asserting like anything that was not working for her. She would just like query, and she didn't get that it was maybe slightly rude to do so. So luckily, I got rid of her.
Yeah, I mean, you don't go into like your supermarket, but you know what? I'm not happy with the price of this. I paid this price last week. I'm not paying anymore. You know what I mean? You don't do that as do you? You know,
No,
and we've done
yeah,
price, we do price increases every year, as most businesses do.
yeah,
And if anyone that we let go of, I'm like, you know what? I'm so grateful to have the clients who love. I would say I only work with people who love to pay me for my skills and my time. For people who pay to listen and learn, and I love that. And I think that,
that's really good.
anyone that because, people always message me, I don't know if it's the same with you, like, do you do a free taster? Do you do the, I was thinking, no, I don't do
Yeah,
a free, darling. Do you have a free taster in M&S? No, you
no,
don't.
because that's my time. That's my time. Yeah. And
You know?
I've worked on my skill set. I don't need to, also, like, I don't need to do that because I have a lot of students that pay me. I don't need like someone to have,
Free
yeah.
people, you just got to coast it with the free things. And I always tell people, you know what, our studio is not the cheapest. If you want cheap, I can recommend you loads of places. I'm really
Yeah,
straightforward.
yeah. Well, the other thing that I say to people who have issue with price increases, it's a really good one actually, is to say, well, I've been teaching for
Yeah, yeah,
10
yeah,
years,
yeah,
so
yeah.
maybe find a student teacher,
So,
someone who's just starting out. If you want something cheaper, you pay for what you get. Like I'm I'm a professional musician. Like I've put all the years in, so it's knowing your worth. And then I really like the phrase "know your worth" and add tax.
yeah, because I think that the people who want to pay and work with you are those people that you want anyway. And there's nobody. If you lose anyone, have you really lost them? Not really.
No,
I
no,
mean, and I've learned from
yes,
those well because when we did we were doing a refurb and expanding, doing all these things, and there were a couple of people who were kicking back, and I was like, you know what? It was giving me more passion and drive to make the studio even better, to really go
mm,
all out with the decor and make it even more amazing because I want to attract those really amazing clients too. And
mm,
that's what's happening because we put energy into that. I think that's magnetized really. So
yeah,
that's a
yeah,
really good one about pricing because that's a boundary, isn't it? I think like I would never
yeah.
say, yeah, I wouldn't say that to like any of my teachers. I'm not paying that because it's too expensive. Just don't come, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's very rude actually to say that you're not going to pay someone what they feel they are worth, because it's sort of saying, "Oh, you're not worth that."
yeah. So
Indirectly, you're sort of saying that, or like, I don't know. It's
yeah, 'cause
weird to
my
me.
prices are
It's
my
rude.
prices affect your budget really, so that's
Mm.
fine. So I'm just not going to be a good fit, and that's all it is. You know what I mean? You know what I was really talking about? We're going boundaries. We talk about mental health and stuff. I think what I was on about. As a student, your boundaries could be things like the people that you follow on Instagram, time you spend scrolling, this comparison thing. Your boundaries when it comes to your diet, your training, your
Yeah.
expectations. Everyone
Mm.
wants to be amazing after one class, don't they? They want to smash the trick in 1 hour or what have you. And they're not sleeping properly, they're not eating properly, they're not drinking the water, they're not doing all the basic things, and yet they want to be amazing. So maybe boundaries on personal time and
Yeah.
expectations.
Well, with me, with my phone, I don't have pop-ups on my phone. I don't have anything coming up on my phone.
Yeah, I have that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's really important when you're training, because otherwise you can just look at your phone and just be like pulled
That's a
in.
good one. That's a really
Um, I also don't so when I'm training, I tend to like train, so I'll have written down what I'm going to
brilliant.
do.
Me too.
So I'll
Me
try
too.
and structure it, and I'll try and I'm trying to be even better at this. So on a Sunday, I'm trying to sit down and be like, right, so on Monday I'm doing this, Tuesday I'm doing this,
Yeah, that's
or
right.
whatever,
Me too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, me
and that
too.
can help.
There's something mine's like I do that, and then it's not I have to do those 5 moves, but it's a wee soft
Well,
template.
being flexible with it also. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's hard.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, oh my god, love that trick. Fuck all this thing. I need to practice this one now.
Yes, go where your passion goes.
Okay.
But that structure though does help me from
Yeah,
aimlessly going on Instagram and being like, oh, they are really good at
yeah.
this, or like it starts. it keeps me motivated. So like tick list of what I'm going to do, done that. Oh, I'm getting tired, done for the day, kind of thing. That can really help.
Yeah, you remind me what I do, and I don't know if you do this. So, like on Instagram, when you have you can save stuff. I've got static pole, spin pole, got flexibility shapes, I've got pole
Yeah.
black, plastic. I've literally got it all categorized. Like, okay, today's static pole. What have I got? And then that's
Mm.
really good. I've got a different album for competition things that I like, and yeah, that's
Yeah.
really helpful as well for me. I find that really useful because like
Structure.
yeah, because last Saturday I was like, oh yeah, I want to do some spin park. I feel it's nice and warm. I feel loose. Let's do some spinny things. What have I got to say? Like, oh yeah, these splits and stuff, and that's really
Yeah.
helpful. You know what I mean? And then
I screenshot stuff. I want to do. So like not necessarily on Instagram, but if I see a class that I like if I subscribe to or like an online platform, I'll maybe look at the classes they have and I'll just screenshot it. Because when I'm about to do pole, like sometimes my brain is like, what? Like
yeah,
and I
yeah.
remember like what I so I think it's important.
Yeah, I think we both do the Felicity thing, the Align app. That's
Yeah,
really good. In the morning,
exactly. So
I made like
yeah,
I made little playlists of shoulders, hips,
that's
whatever.
it.
Because in the
Yeah,
morning,
yeah.
yeah, my hair's out here, and then like I'm like, just press that, stretch warm, but it's just stretch my body. So I was doing that this morning. My husband was like, "What time is your thing?" It's like, "Shit, it's 9:30." He's like, "I'm gonna set the cameras up. You put your makeup on because you got to record your podcast."
Yeah,
That is really good.
that's one thing that helps a lot. I think it's important just to use Instagram in the way that helps you, because
Yeah,
yeah, the whole thing of just uh algorithms and then what you see on Instagram can be, for me anyways, being like not stick thin. Like I have like a bum and like I have like folds sometimes when I have a tummy, and you know when I breathe you can see sometimes I have a tummy a little bit, like it's not like a rack of abs.
right. So yeah, and you know what? I have a rack of abs. When I'm sitting like this, I've got like a real roll to
Sometimes
sit. You know
when
what I mean? I think like it can be like,
I'm looking on
yeah, yeah.
it's being careful with how you use Instagram though, because it's all perfection and all people who are just showing like the nicest bits. Even I kind of
Uh,
do that sometimes. I'm
we
like,
all
oh,
do.
I don't want to post this because I look weird or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's an important kind of boundary with yourself. Like, do I want to use Instagram in this way, just like mindlessly scrolling, or am I going in there and being like, right, I'm finding that combo that I
That's what.
saved, or
Yeah, because some people are like, oh yeah, you know, I'm spending too much time scrolling and things, and it's really toxic, and I need to have screen time. I think, yeah, of course. But also, well, who are you following, right? Actually, it should be like, it's
oh
like if you're feeling like comparing, like shit, all these sort of things, right? Just unfollow. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Because
You can also if you feel weird about unfollowing,
you can mute
you
people.
can
Can't
mute.
you? I've
That's
done
what
that.
I do. Yeah, I mute.
Yeah,
Um,
that's all right.
and yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying? Yeah, totally.
good.
I think it's good. It's good to do that. I think people could maybe learn from that because social media can actually really help you with your training. But I think it's really important who you're following, why you're following them. Just make you feel good, like friendships in real life. You know what I mean? Like you
Mm.
could not saying you shouldn't follow your friends or whatever, but you know, like have a real good think about, you know, what am I, where am I spending my energy, and why am I spending my energy on that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Um, I was going to ask you about being triggered. So like when I first started setting boundaries, I used to feel like someone would cross my boundary, and then I would be like feeling quite triggered. So I'd feel like everything would be way bigger. So like, oh, they'd just been rude to me or pushed me in a certain way. But it felt like massive.
yeah,
So that's how I used to feel when I hadn't sort of dealt with like past hurts and healed those kind of things. So I think it's important to say that setting boundaries can feel
oh
like
cool,
quite big at first. Can feel
yeah.
like a bit
The more
a
you do
bit
it, you guess, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, so start small, you know what I mean, and then just going big after that. You know, just,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean. Like I'll make plans with you. Are we gonna can we concrete those and show up to those plans? And you know, this is how it makes
Mm.
me feel. What can we do? And or even like
Do you
training.
have like set phrases that you like to use when you're setting boundaries?
Um, the common ones for me would be like, I've noticed that I feel this way when this happens. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? How do
Yep.
you feel about it? Or can we come to? Because it's all about collaboration, isn't it? Well,
Yeah.
and then sometimes if it's something I'm trying to help someone, what can I do to make this better? You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Yeah,
I like those.
yeah. What
I
right?
I quite like I like to say, let me get back to you on that.
Oh my god! Actually, you reminded me because in the boundary boss thing, she said something like, "I really understand that this is really important for you, and
Mm.
right, a great time for me. Can we reschedule for X, Y, and Z?" And that was pretty cool actually, because sometimes something is really important for somebody else, views us like whatever. But it's like, you know what? Okay, this is really important for you. I get that. I'm fucking so busy at the minute. Can we do it at this X, Y, and Z? How does that work for you? So we can still work on that.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I quite like just giving myself time to decide on things. Sometimes people will be like, can you
Ah,
come to this thing? Can you commit to this? And I
yeah.
like to just be like, let me get back to you on that. And I
Oh,
just
I'm
that's like
like,
my statement straight away because I'm just not sure. I'm not very good at making decisions sometimes. So and that can be from the people pleasing side of me because I feel like, oh, I should do this thing that I'm not really
yeah. I was,
interested in
jo-
doing. It takes me a minute to be like, well, I don't really want to do it. So yeah.
I was joking with someone over the weekend, and they were like, I'm an introverted extrovert. I said, I think I'm the same as well because I'm like quite extrovert, but in a really
Yeah.
introverted, don't want to see anybody kind of way as
Yeah.
well. So have that time, I think, okay, can I put that into my diary? Do I want to do that? And not having anxiety about stuff too, you know what I mean? Like, oh my God, I'm stressing about meeting this. And if you are, then I think, well, actually, where's that come from? Is this thing true? You
Yeah.
know? Yeah,
Hmm.
a couple of things, isn't there?
I
So,
also like to say sometimes if you're changing, so like if you're not used to setting boundaries and all of a sudden you're starting to, like
you
with
were
family or friends,
like,
it
what?
sometimes I like to say that doesn't work for me any longer. That's a
Yeah,
good one.
yeah.
Mm.
I said that my parents
So
quite like. They were like, oh, but you used to when I became vegan, for example.
uh-huh.
eh,
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, I used to do a lot of things, right? But I'm not five anymore. You know what I mean? I'm not near 50.
Yeah. 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 But that can be a good one because just
Yeah,
like it means that, even if they've been um I don't know, like not showing up to things, you can say that no longer works for me. Like, could
yeah.
we, going
Or
forward, could we try and do this?
yeah,
Or,
this makes me feel really uncomfortable, or I don't want to talk about that. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? Or I don't
that's
want to
important too.
don't
Yeah, yeah,
answer. I don't feel that's for me. It's a boundary, and I don't feel like I need to share that with you.
yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. Someone asked me about money the other day. I think it was something to do with like, I think it was my mum and my parents actually. Usually,
Okay, yeah.
she was like, do people actually pay to come and see you at the workshop? I said, how much are you making? I was like, do you want to
That's
know?
rude, yeah.
Do you want to know my salary after tax? you
I
know.
find it hard with family, like my dad's wife, so my stepmom, I guess. She
Yeah.
sometimes asks like, oh, it's like she's quite fearful. So she'll say things like, "Oh, how is it going to work with you guys in Italy? Like, how are you going to make
Oh
music?" Or like
God.
she'll say like, "Oh, like, are you going to have, are we going to have grandkids at some point?" Like, so like I have to. I think I'm going to have to start being
That's so
like, "Oh, I don't really feel
awful.
like discussing, you
Yeah.
know." my fertility with you. Like, no offense, but like, no.
Not
Like,
even no
as a
offense. Just like, what
yeah,
there's no issue to you. You know what I mean? Yeah.
yeah, you shouldn't. I feel like as women,
Oh my
might not
God.
be a
All the time.
gendered thing, but as women,
All
sometimes
the
we
time.
we can feel like we have to discuss all these things, but actually,
I think like for women, because obviously I teach so many women, and I hear it all the time. And I think after 31, if you haven't had a child, it's like, what's wrong with you, Mark? Are you joking me?
yeah, no, it's so
Like,
bad.
so bad, isn't it? You have no idea what
Mm.
people are going through. Maybe people are trying for children. You have no idea. And I just think it's
No,
so.
it's so bad to even ask. Like, I just,
I, yeah, so you have no idea what people are going through. I had a friend of mine recently, and one of her really close friends that got pregnant, and she was like, "I'm so happy for her, but I feel so guilty because I'm like so sad and so upset as well because people expect me to have a child. I haven't even got a boyfriend, and I'm only 35, whatever it is."
mm, that's
And
hard.
like,
Yeah.
she felt really bad because she felt like almost not resentment or jealousy because she's really happy for her friend but having to
Yeah.
and I'm like, society has so many like stupid timelines. Actually, you get to decide your fucking timeline. It's your story, isn't it? And you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
is hard. I feel like it is harder for girls and women as well. You know what I mean? Because there's so much societal expectations for them to do X, Y, and Z. You know, and be a boss, be independent, do all the things, but have children, be a mum, get married, all this stuff as well. You know
Yeah,
what?
no, you can't do everything. That's the thing. Can't
Yeah.
have it all. Really,
Yeah.
just doesn't
Well, you can
work.
have it all, like various times. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. But the thing with babies is quite a common problem because
Yeah.
a lot
Time.
of people just feel like, I guess because there is the biological clock ticking, that a lot of people feel like, oh, like I
Yeah.
have to ask this now because maybe she doesn't know that her biological clock is ticking.
Yeah,
Of
because no one
course, like
talks about
every woman knows like that there's a set time frame. If someone
it.
hasn't had a baby, it's maybe because they don't want one, or they can't physically do it, or they don't have the money to do it, or they, whatever. There's always reasons, but I just feel like it's like a common question that gets asked, and does feel like very invasive sometimes.
Totally. I was just trying to think, is
Yeah.
there anything else you wanted to cover on boundaries? We covered most of the stuff. Was there anything you wanted to talk about?
I think the main thing is just that it takes practice, and it
Definitely.
does sometimes feel uncomfortable. And when I first started doing it, I was definitely more triggered, more coming from a place of fear. Whereas now I try and come from a place of a bit more like love, like,
Yeah.
and I try and also just get rid of boundary destroyers. I find
Yeah.
them really difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
And I find it difficult to get rid of them actually too. But luckily, life gives you the opportunity sometimes to get rid of them, like a move, or you can just decide, like you said, that doesn't work for me. This person is taking too much of my time. They're not making me feel good. Like it's not worth it. But yeah, just that it's a process. It's a practice,
I'm
like
going.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm going.
yeah,
I was looking through the notes and there's some things I wrote like expressing your feelings and clearly without blaming others. That's pretty cool.
yeah. Without blame and without being aggressive, like assertive, but not too
Yeah.
passive, not too aggressive. It's a hard balance. It's a
Yeah.
practice, definitely.
My next thing was staying composed, you know, like breathing, because it
Yeah,
can
yeah, yeah, yeah.
get heated, can't it? And you don't want to explode.
What can help with that, I just thinking, is rather than having a conversation on the phone, I have a lot of people that want to talk on the phone about things. And I'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, sorry, like I can't do that right now. Could you just message me? I'll just say that. Like, I feel like sometimes composing a message is easier, especially with difficult people, than having a conversation face to face or on the phone. So if you can find a way
Yeah.
sometimes to express your boundaries, writing it, then you can edit too.
Yeah.
Like you can write it down one night, then go to sleep, then look at it and say like, oh, is this a bit aggressive?
Uh,
Is like,
but
is this coming from like a triggered place, or is it like, oh, is it just assertive? Is it passive? Like you can kind of question it. Whereas when it comes out of your mouth,
yeah,
sometimes it can just come out and it just comes out in the wrong way. There's also
yeah.
that.
I like to
Um,
always voice note. I do.
Voice note's good. Yeah, yeah.
Because I think sometimes
Depends who you're talking to.
yeah,
Depends
yeah,
like what
yeah,
generation they're from. I have a lot of parents that love to talk on the phone, and that is not me. I hate talking on the phone. So I just say, oh, sorry, I'm teaching right now. Like, please,
yeah,
could you message me? And I just will ignore their phone call.
yeah.
My phone is on
No,
do not disturb all the time.
yeah, I
So if
do that.
someone tries to call me, I don't answer
Yeah. No,
because I
my
just hate talking.
I like in a circle. They know not to call me as well
Mm,
because
mm,
they're busy all the
mm.
time. And I like to be able to set my mindset to be okay. I want to have this conversation with this person now. This is my
Yeah,
time. You can be
I think it's
anywhere.
a generational thing actually,
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah, yeah, yeah. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
sorry, say that again.
Yeah, I was just saying, you know, I like to
Say
set
that
time.
again, sorry.
I always like to set time and space for I want to speak to this person now and what have you.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
you go.
back. You're back.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I was just saying, I
Yeah.
like to have like time and space, which like that has people know around not to call me really because I'm usually going to be busy doing something. So
Yes. Yeah,
So
yeah,
like, I'll say to my sister, for example, because we're really close, are you free at this time? Should we schedule a
yeah,
FaceTime?
yeah.
And that's really
Scheduling is
good.
important.
Yeah, because I don't know what
Yeah,
she's going to do. She doesn't know what the hell I'm going to be doing. Do you know what I mean? So this is like a family emergency or something. We always say, you know.
yes.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that's what goes to well, as soon as I see my phone ringing and it's my dad or my mum, and
Yeah.
unless we've decided that we're going to talk at a certain time,
Mm,
I'm like, who has died?
yes.
Because
Oh
I
my God,
know, like,
you reminded me. I have this rule like, unless someone's calling me from before 9 a.m., I'm not going to speak to them like actually speak to them physically verbally. So it has to be like something really serious before 9 a.m. for a phone call, you know?
yeah, yeah,
So I'll
yeah,
be like, unless someone's died, don't call me.
yeah.
And even
Well, it's
then,
important.
yeah,
Yeah, it's important to set boundaries around
yeah,
things like how you want to communicate with people for sure.
yeah.
Cool.
Oh, this is a good
I
one.
think we've done a
Avoid,
lot.
yeah, avoid over explaining. That's a good one.
Yes, that's really good.
Yeah, you don't need to do that. Stay calm, reassert your boundaries, you're validating their feelings and yours too. And what else? You can
Hmm.
seek support from people who are like, you know, your friends and professionals who are encouraging you and advice. Having a really good network is great, I feel. You
Yeah,
know. I feel like
totally.
you're definitely part of mine, you know. I mean, it's nice to find people who are like on your favour, you know what I mean? So and staying solution focused. Focus on finding mutual, acceptable solutions rather than getting stuck in conflict when
Yeah,
possible. Right? And sometimes
yeah, yeah, yeah.
if there's conflict, then it's just showing you know what, maybe it's time to,
That's not, yeah,
isn't
it's not for
it?
me.
That's okay. Goodbye. See you later. Have a nice life. Yeah, yeah. Because you're
Yeah,
not paying someone's mind, are you? You're here to collaborate. So yeah,
yeah. Some people just aren't for you or for your
yeah,
business. Like
yeah,
you have to make that call. Sometimes it takes a while to make that call. Sometimes it's an instant thing, like you said.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
Cool. What? Shall we do some tapping on this before we finish then?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
Awesome. So let's get into tapping then. So if anyone's not tapped before, because I think we'll put this on YouTube like we talked about. So if anyone's not tapped before, EFT therapy, emotional breathing technique is fantastic. It's a great way to release emotions. So, why I love tapping, so you can acknowledge, you know, the bad and negative, and so okay, this is how I'm feeling, but I want to shift that and then refocus on and reprogram. And I think it's more about releasing limiting beliefs, physical and non-physical, and then just moving forward and like affirming and replacing those beliefs with new ones. You know what I mean? That's what I find really effective. So we were starting the karate chop point, and actually you can use your karate chop point for the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Which is always a
Yeah,
fleshy part in. So you always tap like this, and it's like you're trying to tap the analogy that someone told me was you're trying to tap like you're trying to get someone's attention. And it's just that sort of feeling here. I use whichever hand you want to use, really. And then, so once I use this as the setup to talk about all the limiting beliefs, and then release that. And then we go through the meridian points in the body, so starting from the crown, the temple, eyebrows, under the nose, chin, chest, armpit, and wrists. You can miss them out; it doesn't matter. If you can do them all, brilliant. If you can't, it doesn't really matter. And I use both sides of my body. Some people just use one side. It's totally up to you. It's quite like that about tapping. It's quite loose. And that is literally it. So you repeat the affirmations and just tap along. It works better if you can physically speak the affirmation. You don't have to scream. You don't have to scream them out. Sometimes I'm like really loud around the house. Or if I'm in the park, I'm usually whispering them to myself so I don't look too mental. You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
it's really,
yeah, yeah.
really weird. So if you want to repeat them, you can mute your microphone and we can get into it.
All
All
right,
right.
I'll repeat it, but I'll mute myself. Just remind me to turn it back on in a bit.
All right, Vicky, cool. All right, so let's get into starting on the karate chop word. We're going to release some limiting beliefs on setting boundaries. So even I feel that people don't respect my boundaries, and I sometimes get walked all over, and my voice is never heard. I accept myself. I forgive myself, even though sometimes I feel that my voice isn't heard, and that I'm scared to ruffle the feathers, and I'm quite concerned about how people may feel, or what they might think of me, or that I'm going to upset them or hurt them in any kind of way. I forgive myself and I accept myself. Even though sometimes I play small, because I'm scared to be my true self, because I don't want to lose friendships or lose clients. I forgive myself and I accept myself. Sometimes I find it hard to let people know what it is that I want, what is acceptable for me, and what are my wants, needs, and desires. But today, I'm letting that go. I am letting go of the need of playing small, for hiding my light, for not asking for what I want. I'm letting go of all of that, and I'm allowing myself to set boundaries, to let people know what time it is, to be able to shine my light and be confident, to express my voice, and to let go of perfectionism, let go of people pleasing. I'm letting go of playing small. I'm letting go of the need to guess what everybody else wants and make everybody feel comfortable and happy. Because honestly, it's fucking exhausting. I don't need that. It's not my job. So I'm letting that go today. Okay, so deep breath and release. Drink some water, get hydrated if you need to. So that is just the setup to let go of. And I was, you know what, I was doing that, I was feeling all these things, and I'm letting all that go now, and I'm feeling quite emotional actually. I didn't really realise I needed that. Obviously, I do too. So let's start on the top of the head and work our way through the body. Okay, so start on the crown. I am a boundary bitch. I am a boundary boss. I know what I want. And even though sometimes I'm scared to say it, today I'm going to make small steps. I'm going to make steps to let people know what it is that I want, what it is that really ticks me off. Because plot twist, but they don't know. They don't know what it is that you need. Only you know. And it's nobody's job to guess. So today, with love, kindness, and compassion, I am expressing myself in healthy ways. Maybe I'll let people know that I have a cancellation policy. Maybe I'll let people know that when they're late, it really gets on my tits. Or maybe I'll let my friends know that their behaviour is not acceptable. Because the more I can be authentic, the more authentic my relationships become. And the more I express my needs, the more I can allow others to do the same too. And together, when we do that, we can create healthy, beautiful, wonderful relationships. And those that no longer work, I say goodbye to them. I send them away with love. We are on different journeys, and that's okay too. I lovingly let go for people, places, and experiences that are no longer on my high skis. And I thank them for all the lessons. Because without those, I wouldn't be where I am right now. I'm constantly learning and evolving. I'm just a human. and I'm learning to be better every day. So today, I am going to set my boundaries within my relationships. I'm going to unsubscribe and unfollow from anything and anyone that is not my vibe. And I'm calling in amazing, gorgeous opportunities and people who are the perfect fit, who nourish me as I do them, who help me expand and grow in collaboration. And the more I do that, the more I'm telling the universe that I love myself. Because boundaries are self-love. Boundaries are self-confidence. Boundaries are self-respect. And the more I do that, the more I'm showing people what is acceptable for me. What is my level of self-worth and self-trust? What is my level of self-confidence? Because they're both the same. Self-love and self-confidence go hand in hand. And I'm learning to become a connoisseur of self-love, a baddie of self-confidence, by saying no to what's not right, saying no to what's serving me, and saying yes to all the things that light me up, and saying yes to creating a life worth living, starting with today. All right, deep breath in, release. That was awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. I loved what you said about the universe, like, because setting boundaries is difficult. I used to say, like, when I don't set boundaries, I'm sort of showing the universe. So I don't know how to explain this. It's really complicated.
No, what you're saying is true. Like, you know, I mean, every time you allow shitty behaviour, you're telling the universe, okay, I want more of that. But actually,
yeah,
so, you know,
yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Every time I said no to things, the universe is giving me more of what I wanted, and that's what you want, right?
Yeah,
the universe is gonna work. Your vibration is okay. I accept breadcrumbs. I accept shit relationships. I accept crappy friends. Well, the universe will give you more of it.
More
right?
of it. Yeah.
They don't want that. They don't say goodbye to
that. Yeah. And the more you complain without setting boundaries, the more of the same shit you get until you learn the lesson that you have to set the boundaries.
Like we were talking about, we were saying, well, you know, you're saying this to me, and what are you doing about it? You know what I mean?
No, it's hard. Yeah, that's the hard thing. Is
you're gonna complain. I can do take some action because I'm here to listen to you, but you're saying the same shit to me over and over again. So.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, that's the hard thing. So yeah.
Totally. All right, I'm glad we recorded it this time as well. Awesome.